In the beginning of the film, we meet a woman named Iris. She looks deeply sad and broken. Not long ago, her son passed away, and ever since, her life has felt empty. Painful thoughts keep haunting her mind. One dark, quiet night, while everyone is asleep, she hides a small knife in her pocket, gets into her car, and quietly leaves the house. By morning, she arrives near the mountains, where her son is buried. Standing there, she speaks to her son with tears in her eyes. Her voice trembles as she tells him that she no longer finds joy in life. Slowly, she walks to the edge of the cliff, ready to jump. Just then, a man appears. He realizes what she's about to do and approaches her calmly. He introduces himself as Richard. He says, "I won't stop you. I just want to say something before you go." Then he begins telling her a story. It's about a young boy who was full of life. He loved cars, adventure, everything that excited a teenager. But one day, he and his friend were in a car accident. The boy survived, but his friend died. The trauma left him numb for months. When he finally started to heal, he saw how much his family loved and missed him. That's when he realized he had been wrong to give up on life. Richard tells Iris that his point is simple. Nobody truly wants to die. It's just that sometimes weak moments push us to that edge. Then he tells her, "If you still want to go, I won't stop you." And he walks away. But his words stay with Iris. She decides not to jump. Turning back to her car, she notices something odd. Richard's car is parked so close to hers that she can't open the door. Richard suddenly appears again, holding an umbrella. He offers to help her open the door. Iris finds it strange. Why is he carrying an umbrella on such a sunny day? Before she can react, Richard attacks her with the umbrella. It's no ordinary one. It gives her a strong electric shock. She collapses on the spot. Barely conscious, she feels him tying her hands and legs, then lifting her into his car. When Iris wakes up, she doesn't speak to Richard. Silently, she tries to send a message to her husband through her smartwatch, but Richard quickly catches on and tells her, "There's no signal here. You can try all you want. No one will hear you." That plan fails, but she remembers the knife she had brought with her. Quietly, she pulls it out and starts cutting the ropes on her hands. To cover the sound, she keeps talking to Richard. The moment she frees her hands, she lunges at him. Her sudden attack causes the car to spin out of control and crash into a tree. Both are hurt. But Iris doesn't give up. She wraps a seatbelt around Richard's neck, trying to choke him. Richard breaks free. She attacks him again, and they both get thrown out of the car. Now, holding the knife, Iris points it at him. But Richard stays calm and says, "Do you really think I'd stand here if I hadn't prepared? I've injected you with something. In just 20 minutes, your body will be paralyzed. You won't be able to walk, run, or even talk." Fear takes over Iris. She turns and runs toward the forest, but her legs begin to go numb, just like he said. Soon she can't run. She starts crawling. Richard is close behind. To hide, she slips under tree bark, but ants crawl over her skin, and she screams. That scream gives away her location. To escape, she drags herself into a flowing stream. Richard shouts from behind, "You can't swim! You'll drown!" Iris ignores him. She can't swim, but the water carries her forward. Somehow she reaches the other side, close to a riverbank. She only has a minute left before total paralysis. Using every bit of her strength, she crawls out of the water. In the distance, she sees a farmhouse. She tries hard to reach it, but her body gives up. She collapses before getting there. Now, she can't move, can't speak, only her eyes still respond. After some time, an old man working nearby sees her. He rushes over and asks what happened. Iris can't answer. He realizes something is wrong. He begins asking yes or no questions. "Can you hear me? Are you in trouble? Do you need help?" Iris blinks once for yes, twice for no. Slowly, he understands her signals. He gently places her in a wheelbarrow and takes her into his house. Just as they enter, someone starts knocking on the door. Iris knows it has to be Richard. Her heart pounds. She blinks rapidly, trying to warn the old man. "That man is dangerous. I'm in danger." Luckily, the old man understood Iris's signals and quickly hid her behind the sofa. When the door opened, it was Richard who entered. He pretended to be innocent and began to cry in front of the old man. He said his son had died and his wife had gone into shock. According to him, her body was now paralyzed. She had disappeared. He asked the old man if he had seen her. At first, the old man didn't believe him. He asked Richard to call his wife. Richard lied and said he had lost his phone on the way. The old man was almost convinced by his fake tears, but then suddenly, Richard's phone rang from his pocket. The old man caught his lie. Realizing he'd been exposed, Richard dropped the act. He coldly asked the old man if he had seen Iris. When the old man threatened to call the police, Richard attacked him, but he didn't expect the old man to fight back so strongly. The old man beat Richard badly and brought him to the ground. Just as he was about to call the police, Richard grabbed a knife and stabbed it into the old man's leg. The old man fell, groaning in pain. Richard then pulled the knife out and stabbed him again, this time in the stomach, repeatedly. The old man died right there, crying out in agony. Iris saw the entire thing from behind the sofa. It was heartbreaking. This man had died trying to protect her. Now Richard was in serious trouble. He had committed murder. To cover his tracks, he poured kerosene all over the house and set it on fire. But Iris was still alive. She didn't want to die in the fire. So with great difficulty, she moved one of her fingers and slid it into the window slat, opening and closing it to signal for help. Richard saw the movement from outside. Realizing someone was still alive inside, he checked and found Iris. He picked her up and placed her in a truck, the same one that belonged to the old man. Since their own cars were far away, Richard decided to use the truck to escape. Iris couldn't speak, but she could still hear. Richard then received a call from his daughter. She told him she missed him and that she and her mom were coming to see him. Richard panicked and told her not to come, saying his work wasn't finished. But his daughter insisted and said they were on their way. This made Richard extremely tense, and he nearly had an accident while driving. To make things worse, the truck ran out of fuel. He stopped at a fuel station and made Iris wear a cap to hide her face and expressions. Despite her paralyzed state, Iris tried her best to open the seatbelt. Even a small movement from her took great effort. At the station, she saw a little boy about the same age as her son. She became emotional, and the boy noticed something was wrong. Before he could say anything, his mother came and took him away. The woman sensed that something wasn't right and secretly called the police. She also gave them the truck's number. Richard drove to the place where he had earlier parked his car. He planned to return home, but before he could do that, a police officer stopped him. The officer said they had received a complaint about the truck. Richard tried to act confident and said everything was fine, claiming he was just on a trip with his wife. The officer asked to speak to her. Looking at Iris's face, it was clear something was wrong. Richard said she was just drunk, which was why she looked that way. Meanwhile, Iris, gathering all her strength, managed to roll down the window. The officer leaned in and Iris softly mumbled, "Help me." That changed everything. The officer also found the injection Richard had used to paralyze Iris. He realized she had been kidnapped. But before he could act, Richard understood that the situation was slipping out of his control. To avoid getting caught, he picked up a heavy iron object and struck the officer on the head. The blow was fatal. Richard then put the officer's body in the truck and set it on fire, destroying all the evidence, just like before. Iris was now completely hopeless. She had lost faith in anyone coming to help her. But slowly, the effect of the drug began to wear off, and she regained some strength. She could even talk now. She began speaking to Richard, trying to stir his emotions. She knew he had a daughter and tried to remind him of that bond. But a man who can kidnap and kill people doesn't get emotional easily. When her words didn't affect him, she grabbed the injection and tried to stab him to protect herself. But she failed. The needle didn't go in. Richard laughed and mocked her, saying she was too weak to hurt him. He then told her he had changed his plan. Earlier, he wanted to take her to his house and kill her there, but since his family was coming, he now planned to kill her by the stream. He said he had wanted to torture her slowly, but his family had ruined that plan. He dragged her to the stream and placed her in a boat. Iris, still weak, was thinking of a way to escape. She noticed a knife tucked into Richard's waistband. She quickly came up with a plan. She began crying and told Richard that there was a photo of her son in her pants pocket. She begged him to let her see it one last time before she died. Richard laughed, but agreed and leaned in to get the photo. The moment he bent down, Iris grabbed the knife and stabbed him in the lower neck. The blade pierced through his mouth. Richard screamed in pain and reached for his gun, but Iris managed to snatch it from him and shot him. He fell into the water. Iris finally felt safe. She had defeated a murderer. But her troubles weren't over yet. The bullet had made a hole in the boat, and water began to flood in. Iris, still half paralyzed, started to sink. But the good part was, her body floated like a dead weight. As her strength returned, she swam to the shore. Laughing with relief, she couldn't believe she had survived. But just then, she saw Richard at the other side of the bank. He was still alive, injured, and barely breathing. She walked toward him. She could have called the police, but she chose revenge instead. Watching him suffer in pain, she turned and walked away. And that's where the story ends. If you liked the video, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more amazing stories.